But I hope I've satisfied you on the judiciary. I do not have a lot of respect for the way our judiciary operates. When you look at all of the problems we have in crime in this country, the judiciary should be weighing into that area. For some reason, it is incapacitated. And of course, what you see it up close and personal is on the reservation. And the way to change that is to change the whole system, which is the case with so many of our problems. We need change. And I'll use a few moments. There's only two possible venues for change in our society. One is the government, where the problem exists, or the American people who can bring about fundamental change, but they have to have the ability to make laws, because that's the central power of government. Them's that makes the laws determine who and how and when you vote. And so it's not giving away your power on election day. It is making yourself lawmakers. And that's very attractive to a cohesive group like Indian country, because you see, you can put up a national initiative and you can muster your people on your area of interest. And I think you'll find many more solutions coming out of the national initiative than you will find coming out of the Congress for what you care about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I go to your closing, let me just follow up on that. Since you served in the Senate and you seem to be surprised by the number being 0 of federal district court judges or appeals court judges or Supreme Court judges, do you think it's important enough for the Senate to block confirmation of judges until that's something that's fixed?
Well, first off, if you had limitations, let's take the Supreme Court. These vexatious battles you have over the Supreme Court appointment, and the president's entitled to appoint who he wants. I will have certain criteria for my appointment. They got to be smart and fair. That's my criteria. And but if you turn around and you limit a judge to 12 years on the Supreme Court, you'll have more turnover. So people won't be ripping themselves out debating and fighting in the Congress. The president will have more latitude because people will know that Clarence Thomas can only serve 12 years. People will know that, and that will make a difference. They'll know, and so I become president and you become lawmakers. Within a year, we will turn around and solve the whole judiciary problem. And I'll tell you what, historically, I will appoint more judges to the Supreme Court than any other president of the United States if that comes to pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator, you may close.
Let me close on this. I want to say something very, and I don't mean it demeaning to another member running, but Leonard Peltier, who I followed that case very closely. I'm a history buff. And so I got to tell you, I become president of the United States, I will sign an order freeing him on the day I am sworn in. Now, you've heard that pledge from the Clintons, and it didn't happen. And the same thing, the Clintons pledged that they would do something for the gay community, and it didn't happen. So I got to tell you, without pushing on that, I've made my position very clear, and it disturbed many Democrats, and that is that I don't think anybody who voted for the war is fit to be president of the United States. I firmly believe that. I think that this is a moral turpitude issue. Now, that excludes all of the Republicans, so that may narrow down the choice on the Democratic side. So those of you that are Republicans, please, don't have to change your party. You know, just come over, vote for a Democrat, and that will suffice to do your penance, and you won't have to do any Hail Marys. Let me touch upon another thing, and that is the concept that you know very well since your forebears suffered it. And that's the concept of manifest destiny. And that is where the white person came to these shores and went right across this country. And I got probably the most horrific statement ever made was, I believe it was General Sherman at a banquet in New York. And the President of the United States was sitting there. He raised a coin and he said, "The only good Indian is a dead Indian." And that was well received. We had the same thing with the Ku Klux Klan in 1925, marching down Independence Avenue, and that was well received. Well, let me tell you, Americans have no such manifest destiny. What you see today with American arrogance around the world, being the policemen of the world, we know who it is to sanction. We know who it is, are the good people and the bad people. We don't know that. not after what we've done with torturing people. Stop and think. Your tax money has been used to torture people. This has been accommodated and abetted by the leadership from the president on down into the military. And so when they talk about supporting our troops, well, you got to understand that some of those generals and some of those troops, and I'm right in the middle of reading a book called Fiasco. Read that, it'll make you barf as to how bad it was. And so you've got to understand, you want to support American troops, and don't listen to these cliches and all that. Support, bring them home. They should have never gone. They should have never gone. Bring them home. And so I can only make this one pledge to you. And because President is a person who stands there all day long making moral decisions that affect millions of lives. And you can't be into the details of it. What you have to do is to pick competent people like Governor Richardson and Dennis Kucinich and others that I have in mind. And give them the marching orders that here's what you're going to do, and if you don't do it, quit or I fire you. That's simple. And then what you do is you deal with the macro problems and the imagery problems that happen in the world. Let me give you one imagery problem that I would address, and it's just by imagery. As I am delivering my inaugural address, they will be blowing up Abu Ghraib, Guantanamo, and several other prisons in Iraq. They'll be blowing them up. They'll be turned into cabbage patches. Because we have to demonstrate to the people of the world, not with our voice, because that will take, with our deeds, that will take time. We have to demonstrate to the rest of the world our moral resolve that what they've seen from the United States of America these last few generations is not the America that I plan on leading, and is not the America that I think the American people want to be. They want to be a moral nation. They want to be considered as equals, and they want to consider other people as equals. And the sovereignty rights that you're so sensitive to are national sovereignty rights as Americans and global sovereignty rights. We will never, never have peace in the world and end the violence that's the scourge of humanity until we arrive at some different form of human governance. And the first step of that different form is to empower you as lawmakers to make laws on all the policy issues that affect your lives. You are the authorities, not the Congress, not the courts. You are the authorities on your life. Please go to nationalinitiative.us. Vote, because the Congress will not enact this. Only the people can enact it. And when it's enacted, when that law is enacted, the people will be able to make laws in every government jurisdiction of the United States in a very deliberative kind of way. That's the pledge I make to you, but then you must make the pledge to want to be empowered. Thank you.
Thank you.